Take two of Organically Me, the second episode with the amazing Tracy and Claire from Atta. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having us back.
Oh,
It was
guys,
fun.
thank you for being so understanding.
That's cool. We're both parents.
Yeah, we absolutely get it in
Yeah,
every way.
fine.
Yeah. No,
I'm
it's
so grateful.
like we said, it keeps it real, doesn't it?
It does, definitely. Luckily, I've got my mum next door today, so I know she's not going to start coming in and bashing the rose quartz on the microphone.
That was so funny.
Oh, God. So I know, like, obviously I'm going to have touched on this stuff already when we spoke last time, but we're going to go through it all again. So I just want to kind of introduce you both to everybody watching and listening. Who are you guys and how did you come together?
Go on then. You did it the first time.
I'll get it wrong this time. Who are you? Right. Well, we came together back in the pandemic, and Claire was actually one of my clients as well. But we just started to have this in common questioning about a lot of things, but primarily it was water.
Yes.
And we kept asking questions about water to the point it was like all of our friends would be together and we'd just be up and I'm like, well, what about what's structured water and what's this and what's that? And that's where Atta was made.
Yeah.
Just through curiosity, asking questions, and for the love of water.
Yeah.
Really.
And that is exactly what we're still doing, because it's all about learning ourselves, sharing what we're learning, and trying to empower everyone in the process. Because I think at the moment, especially in the health world, there is so much information, which is exactly what you're doing, which we love, and disinformation and information. Oh, it's so overwhelming to know where to begin and where to start. Both the same words. But and I think that's what we're trying to do. Hopefully make it a bit clearer
for ourselves and to be able to share that. And for families, and for mums that want to do, support their families and their young children. And we're all learning together. It's just about questioning everything at the moment and share as much as we can.
And I suppose which is why water is so important, because it is fundamental.
It's everything.
It is absolutely everything. It's in the air we breathe. We see through water. Sorry, I stole your one. We have to drink it to survive. Like if we lose about 12% of our water, we won't live anymore. Like water is a fine art. It carries information. It's everything.
It's very rare that you'd actually find people that do a dry fast, but a lot of people do water fast. It's actually quite another fad thing at the moment, isn't it?
Very profound thing to do. Very profound.
So we need the water. The food we need obviously as well, but water is life, and it's a lot bigger than we ever anticipated when we took this deep dive into what's structured water.
So that's it. That's us in a nutshell.
So my kind of first question would be for people that are listening that have seen me post about, structured water and stuff, which I really learned from you, Claire, to be honest. Can you just explain to everyone, like in a nutshell, like kind of simple terms, like what is structured water and why do we need to structure our water?
So structured water, water can come in different states. So you can have coherent water and you can have uncoherent. So coherent water has a coherent structure. So it's where the molecules interact together, normally by dipoles, to create a firmer structure. So a lot of the time, which I think you might have noticed, when you use some of the products to structure your water, you'll find it becomes more slimy. It gets a bit sticky, texture to it. It gets thicker.
Like quite a gel, yeah.
So and the water inside our bodies is naturally structured. If you were to drink any kind of water that wasn't structured, your body would use an awful lot of energy to try and structure that water itself anyway, because that's how it's used. So it's the coherent state, molecular state of the water that is structured water.
But by drinking water that you've supported by structuring it and making it coherent, that makes it easier for your body because it hasn't got to produce that energy to try to make the water right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more, I suppose the word bioavailable, it's more available for our body to takes less energy. It builds a stronger body, you have more energy. So there's so many reasons why you would drink structured water.
Brain coherence, body, gut, microbiome, ATP, there are lists of studies now that have been done. This isn't just woohoo like you would think it would, you know, when we first sort of looked into this, when we found the data, the science, that, you know, the clinical trials that are behind all of this. It's huge. It's on plants, it's on us as humans. It's huge.
Yes, it's a big
So
old
interesting. So when we get the water out of the tap, obviously that water has been through a lot of like stress and dirt and grime, and it's had loads of stuff like added to it and stuff. So it's like, if you're like looking at this for the first time thinking, right, I want to kind of, I don't know, look into like filtering and structuring the water, like what would be like the basic steps for people, do you think?
So I think if you like take that back a little bit, and so there's some amazing people and some amazing people to read up on. So Victor Schauberger is one of the ones that you'll probably hear if you get into water, you'll hear his name quite a lot. And he's famous for he really studied and observed water in nature. And water in nature has a system. It sort of goes up into the sky, it gets rained down, so that's its kind of cleansing process. As it comes down, it gets filtered through rocks. It vortices constantly.
Always moving.
It's always moving. It's always changing. It's always collecting data, or you know, information from the sun, from the moon.
All of its environment that it touches, it's picking that up as it's moving constantly, isn't it?
And as it comes up into springs, it's ready for us to take and to replenish and to give us the information, because we are water bodies. So like 70% by volume, 99.2% by molecular count, we are water. So we are containers of water. It's, you know, we're the same as the earth. The earth is exactly the same. So we have the same amount of water as the earth. We mimic that. We have veins, we have rivers within our bodies, and we have hearts. You know, everything is mimicked in nature, and that's what's so beautiful. So water is happiest when it's moving, when it's vorticing, when it's collecting information, where it's cleansing itself, it's exchanging gases all of the time. And if you put the water in our closed city systems, or, you know, wherever we are, towns, and we put it through straight lines and right angles, and it's just far removed.
It's just like we were saying earlier over lunch, actually, wasn't it? It's like this circular movement. It doesn't do anything, does it? It's like all this soup that's just sort of put together and off it goes again. It's just not in the state that it wants to be in.
Yeah, and it's got no chance to naturally cleanse. So because it's in a closed loop, it's taking on the information from us, from what we give to it. So if we're weeing out our chemical hormones and our pills, and, you know, and then it's being cleansed in a very chemical way. So, you know, all the chlorines and the industrial cleaners and everything else in these sort of big, I suppose, I mean, I don't really know, but I'm assuming they're like big containers, and then looped back into us. It's you know, it's a bit traumatizing for the water, and molecularly it loses its structure because it becomes very unhappy. And you look at the work of Emoto and some other amazing scientists like Veda Austin, and you look at how that energy on a molecular level, even just the energetic imprint, disturbs our water. You know, it's just quite a sad state of affairs, the water that comes out of our tap at this moment in time. So, you know, we hope that changes.
And tap water does get a bad cop, you know, it's like the bad water, but it's still water. So there is part of us that really needs to even being conscious, connecting back to that, you know, as Claire said, with the Emoto work, even giving love to something, you know, with the rice studies that he done, the rice and water, it's still going to make an impact on how you are consuming and how you're reacting to something within your body.
Yeah.
Even so many people, me included, wasn't really in the early part conscious of even, it was just a fluid. It's just water, it's hydration, and it isn't just hydration.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof now that you can, you know, love is a dominant frequency, gratitude is a dominant frequency, joy is a dominant frequency. And when you put a dominant frequency against another frequency that's not so happy, then the love, the joy, the gratitude will always win out, and that will transform your water, because, like we said, and us, because we are water. And if you know, if we said, like before, we said, like, water is a transmitter and receiver of like all frequency and energies. It soaks it in. then you'll understand why they use, it's a crystalline structure, especially when it's structured where it's in coherence, because they use, things like quartz and water within computer systems because it holds so much data and knowledge. So it's exactly the same.
And when we're talking about water, like you're saying, like, within the soup of how it comes out the tap, you've got to think of all the other frequencies, regardless of like the hormones and stuff that's down it. You've got the EMF side of what it's being bombarded with because it's holding memory. So there's another reason there why you want to really look at trying to restructure the water to help give you a better water for you to drink, to take some of those frequencies that make the water chaotic, that make it unhappy. Some of them things we can support that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we can use obviously under counter filters. There's reverse osmosis these days as well. You can have a whole house filter in your house, which like removes everything from all of your taps, let alone just your drinking water. But in terms of like to structure that, like obviously I've got the main swell and the analemma. Can you tell us a little bit, for example, about the analemma and what that is? Because people see me with this wand and
Swirling
they're
away.
thinking, what are you doing, gal?
Well, that's the difference as well between cleaning the water and structuring the water.
Yeah,
They are two different things.
Yes.
And this was one of the biggest questions, and still is sometimes, that we brainstorm about, what is the best way to clean the water if you are going to have tap water? What suits you best? Do you want to not like a counter on top that's going to be an RO, which is reverse osmosis? Do you want the big filters that's going to do the whole house, or do you just want something to drink? That's the cleaning side.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what aspect you're doing when it comes to the structuring of the water, though, because they're both going to have two different needs. And it's also you finding what your need is first. To you, what's most important? Do you want to clean the water? Do you want to structure the water? Or do you want to do both?
Yeah. And the analemma is such a special tool because we've talked about data and information, and the analemma is, I think, how long did they take to create the analemma?
10 years? A short 10?
I think it was about 10 years of research in biophoton energy, so light emissions, and they started off with seeds and just studied the light emissions from seeds. Right. And as you drop different types of water onto different seeds, there's a difference in the energy, so the transformation of energy. And if you think about us, we are really just incredible batteries. So really, we need charge. Like if you eat, it needs to be living food because of the charge to create the energy that we need. And so they studied seeds. So then they started to see what types of water, they like played around with all the different types of water, and the water that they've ended up creating, I think they create two types of water. They create the feminine and the masculine. It's put under all sorts of amazing frequencies throughout a whole year. It takes a whole year to make. They call the mother water. It's influenced by the sun, the moon, all the different cycles.
It's blessed by monks. There's so many different energies attached to how they make that mother water.
Yeah.
So I didn't
know that.
There's so much on our website, so we're probably going to skim over loads of it because obviously we've got a short period of time, because the analemma is an insanely amazing tool. It's very clever. They have loads of research and data. But basically, because it's such a dominant, coherent structure, it's such a beautiful structure. As soon as you start swelling it, so it's put in a crystal quartz tube. The crystal quartz is very thin so that it transfers the data. We'll keep saying data today. The information from the analemma into the water. So as you swirl it around, the molecules touch the other molecules, and it's almost like a reminder.
It recognizes.
Yeah, it recognizes.
And it mimics it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so then the dominant frequency becomes the frequency of the water that you then drink.
The whole body, that it's been in contact with.
So it's really interesting, actually, because the more you swirl, the more you'll find that it gets slightly.
Have you done any taste tests with yours?
I just get so into it. Like Hannah, my partner, she goes to me, how can you stand there for 5 minutes? Because I do 5 minutes for my 5 litre.
Oh, I love that.
And she goes, how do you stand there and do it? But I'm like, I get like really into it. Like I absolutely love doing it. And I remember the guy that fitted one of my under-counter filters before I got the reverse osmosis, we did like tests.
Yes, I remember that.
It was really interesting because the mineral content, or you'll know this much better than me, I'm not techie with this stuff. Was it TDS?
The
Yes.
TDS, yeah.
TDS was higher after it had been analemmed and main swelled than it was
Yeah, but
came
I
out.
I think that, I don't really know, but I would imagine that's because it's organizing itself. So the minerals organize. So they always say where energy flows, biology follows. So as soon as the energetic imprint is in a good system, everything else kind of follows from that. So there's so much synergy in the biological system. It's like everything transforms into another. So as soon as you get your energetics right, it's almost like everything else falls into place. And that's why the analemma is so beautiful, because it's pretty much giving your body all the information it needs. I think it's like the water you drink becomes your blood, like within 5 minutes of drinking it. So as soon as you drink, it becomes you, like it's streaming through your
full
water.
being. Yeah.
It's yes, the analemma is such a beautiful product. I don't know.
It's funny because when we first were lucky enough to get our whole house systems of the analemmas, that's one of the first.
I want one.
It was like, what about our swirling? Because it becomes like almost a ritual.
Yeah.
And it's time to connect with the water as well, which you do miss sometimes when you've got the whole house system.
So because you have the whole house system, does that mean like it does that? It's like, how does that work, and how does that do
Like
that?
a big analemma. So
Okay.
as it's coming, Claire and I have both got filters to clean
Yeah.
the water. So as it comes through, the water's being cleansed and cleaned, and then it goes through the analemma system,
Okay.
where it has its lovely little dance.
So does it do its own kind of thing inside, or how does it work?
I think inside it's really beautiful. It's like a piece of art.
It is, yeah, really pretty.
So they've got the analemma quartz with the mother water, and then it vortices round
it,
the
yeah.
analemma, and then it comes out into your home. So obviously, I think it's like if you're showering or bathing or even just day to day just through the atmosphere, you're taking in about 1.5 liters through your skin of water a day. So you know, it's quite important what you put on your skin. Like you were saying before we went on this chat, what you put on your skin is really important.
100%. It's your biggest organ, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and if you're bathing and you're showering, yeah, it's you know, it's really important to have good drinking water, but also being quite mindful if you're having a soak in the bath, if you're showering, the gases that are being exchanged from the shower that you're then just breathing in, especially if you're something like a long shower, you've got to take all them things into play as well, haven't you?
100%. And also little ones. I was saying this yesterday as well about the other topic I was talking about with you guys. My little one sits in the bath and she likes to fill up her pots and drink the water, you know, or she's brushing her teeth and she dips her toothbrush in the water. So for me, knowing that water is as clean as it can be, like, makes me feel good.
And it's also, you're getting the water as happy as it can be.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, you know.
Yeah. And if it makes you feel happy, then that's the energy you want to give off.
Exactly.
You know, if your gut feeling is not good and you're giving that off to your children and to everything around you, then that in itself is gonna have an impact.
It's gonna reflect.
And I found that because you remember I was saying to you, I don't know about my water. I've been drinking bottled water for 12 years and I don't drink tap water and I don't know what to do. And I just want to find the perfect water. And I do feel like now for us as a family, like I've got the perfect setup now. And for that, I'm so grateful.
That's what the May as well was the last part, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that goes back to what Claire shared at the beginning. You know, water is meant to move. It wants to dance. It wants to move. It wants to get rid of like gases that it doesn't want within the water. You know, and again, if you do a taste test, everybody I've done it with the Mayu, regardless of the water itself, you can always taste the difference once it's gone through that natural vortex, because that's what it wants to do.
Yeah. So what?
And it looks really pretty.
It does look so pretty. Like if you have it on the table and people come over, they're like, oh my God, what's that? Someone said to me once, is that a plant pot? And I was like, no, it'd be a really pretty plant pot if it was.
I did my water as well.
No.
I think I'm there swigging the water out of the plant pot. But it's so beautiful. So for people that don't know much about the May, and obviously you were saying that it vortexes. So after you've used the analemma, it's the perfect time to then put it in the swell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, water loves movement. It just it never stays still. Like if you think about a stagnant pond and what happens to stagnant water. It's the same with our bodies.
I was
Like,
about to say, can you imagine if it's like, as a
Yeah,
person though,
if
if
you
we're
have-
stagnant, if
yeah,
we're the same,
yeah,
it's the
if we
same
sit-
as the body of water, isn't it?
it's always moving.
Wants
Everything
to
moves in nature. You don't see one thing that just sits still, that's a natural entity. Like everything moves, everything changes. What was it? The only constant in life is change. I really like that.
Yes,
Rumi.
Is it Rumi?
Yeah.
So good old Rumi, thank you very much. So the water's the same. It's a living entity, it's a living being. It doesn't want to be sitting still in your pipes, and you know, we need to be moving it. And actually the flasker bottle that we have as well does the same, because that's imprinted. So I'm just going to that's imprinted with frequencies. We did an interview with Max, the Flasker man, not that long ago, which we will be putting out soon. But he's very knowledgeable about all of that. He tries to imprint the frequencies of the bottles to mimic the spring water that we'd be drinking naturally, because that is the best form, and you can shake it and it vortices in the bottles. So you know, if you need something to take your water out, that's a really good.
That is what I was going to lead on to ask you, actually, because obviously, you know, we all carry around these bottles. A load of people have got like plastic ones. I use a glass one, but I have been looking into like the copper or the flask that you were talking about. So what do you recommend for people to use?
Well, we love the flaskers. I think they're brilliant.
We do change it up. Sometimes we have a nice blue bottle. Sometimes we've got copper. We've got the lovely flasker teacups if we're trying to be grown up, don't we? And sometimes we put water in them.
Yes, we do.
I think it's almost like you want to, whatever you are drinking, you want to enjoy what you're drinking out of. You know, you can taste it feels different when you're drinking out of a cheap plastic. And plastic is bad. It's not just bad for the water, but it's bad for the earth. It's bad for the environment. I didn't realise until we was chatting to Zayav, who was one of the creators of the Mayu, that every piece of plastic that has ever been created still hasn't decomposed. Even though they say it's a recyclable product, it takes that long. So that's, you know, plastic, we do need to try to get away from it. But like recently I was away with my family, and I'm that one that goes with loads of water, and I've got my Anna and I've got all my bits and bobs, and I'm hiking up a hill with my daughter with my flasker. She went, "Do you need to take the glass bottle? It's really heavy." And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm walking there. It depends what your priorities are. To me, to have what I'm drinking my water out of is something like that. That makes me happy, in which case it's going to make every part of my being happy. So
it's funny because I think we mentioned it last time, but we watched a video right at the beginning of our journey of Dr. Tom Cowan and his water process. It's like a big alchemy session of like all these structuring. It was so amazing, and both of us were like, well, this is ridiculous. Like, this is never going to happen.
Way too far.
And now we're like,
you guys are the same.
We're pretty much the same. Yeah, it's so funny. But I think the more you learn about water, the more you realise how fundamental it is to your health. It's not just about drinking 2.5 litres a day.
Yeah,
it's
not
everything.
just about hydration. There's a lot more involved.
Yeah, and a lot of it is actually our minds, you know. It is really important to have gratitude and love, because the more you realise that it takes in the information that you're putting out, and the more you realise that, you know, that's quite important too. Which I try.
And what about, so the next bit I wanted to ask you was like the minerals. So obviously, if anyone watching or listening is doing the reverse osmosis, there's amazing machines now which do remineralize, but I now worry, because there's always something to worry about.
Don't worry, you're concerned.
Yeah, concerned, that's it. I've got the perfect water, but I'm still like, how can I make it more perfect? So in terms of like the minerals that I see on your
world.
like, how can we do even more and add more to this? It's Mayu, isn't it, as well, that make the minerals that you guys have? Like, what other options are there, and what are they about?
Yeah, so we've got Mayu minerals. They make a beautiful mineral blend,
which they try to mimic natural spring water when they make those. That was their ethos behind making theirs.
And they've got a slightly different version, which is an electrolyte version, which is obviously for people that want to replenish after like exercise or a sauna or something else. But the recent one that we've got, which is a new addition to Atta, is a marine plasma. And it's just, we're quite blown away actually by it, aren't we? So we interviewed David, who's from Ibiza, not that long ago, and we've been talking to him for probably about 3 years.
He was one of the people we started, like,
Yeah.
he was like an uncle. He was like, "Hey, can we have a chat with you?" We just talked to him for hours.
He's got
and just
so much knowledge in this and in other worlds, but yeah, he's an amazing man. But we've managed to fly his minerals over, which has been no mean feat, to the UK now, so it's available in the UK and Europe. And if you live in America and you're watching this, then Dr. Tom Cowan's got it on his website. So yeah, it's the most bioavailable form of minerals. It's
90, by the way.
90 trace
90
and
sea minerals.
yes,
That are all bioavailable, which means that our body is ready to absorb all of them because it needs it.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yes.
That's a lot of minerals, right? That blows me away that it's 90.
Well, because each mineral needs to have another mineral
to make the other, so it all one big exchange, isn't it?
So it's like with that word synergy, I like that word today, that and data. So they all work in synergy together, and they all bounce off each other if they one attracts the other. They're all dipoles as well.
They're all dancing together.
They're all dancing. That's a very good word. I like that.
They're all dancing together. One works best with the other. They're like a lovely community.
Yeah.
We've been talking about microbes today, so it's another community.
Yes.
Is that the one that comes in the glass bottle that I've just seen?
Yeah,
So
and that one's
how do you do it? What do you do? Do you drink the whole thing? Do you put a little bit in?
It's a shot.
So our family have got a shot station. We actually do have a shot station.
That actually sounds amazing.
I haven't, because I've only got myself, and Carmen, my daughter, won't drink it.
A shot station.
No, I just go straight in, like an alcoholic. It's like a bottle of vodka. Go straight in. Yeah.
So you're meant to measure it.
You're meant to measure it.
Okay.
I know what that measurement is, though, in my mouth. Just saying for the podcast.
I think it's 10 mil. So you start 10 mil a day. First thing in the morning. It's very alkalizing, so you don't want to have it just before food. And then you can build that up to about 60 mil in a whole day. So that could be 30 mil in first thing in the morning, and then 30 mil just before you go to bed.
And he does recommend that you swish it in the mouth for 30 seconds as well, so that it starts to work with your saliva again to make it work easier on your stomach. So the bioavailability that Claire said about, so that it can work straight on an empty stomach and just go straight through the body where it's needed.
Yeah, I think it interacts with the saliva to then sort of allow the body to use it more efficiently. But it's got I think we said last time that your cerebral spinal fluid is 1% off of seawater. So we are kind of seawater, but with a watered down, like with more salinity, I suppose.
It's funny, isn't it, that we're always told that seawater's bad, you can't drink it, and yet it's the whole of our spinal fluid.
Yeah, which I didn't know until I spoke to you guys. Like, that is wild to me.
Yeah, it is wild.
Yeah.
But the process to get marine plasma is even more wild, really, isn't it? Because it's not just seawater. It's not like you could just go down,
that bit looks nice.
down to Southend seafront.
No.
Oh, definitely not.
We're not saying start drinking water, seawater.
It's processed by plankton. So the plankton, so the currents, so this is how I see it. So currents, apparently he said that currents aren't straight. He said they vortice as well. So in areas of high energies within the sea, you were like looking at me going, do you remember this? Like, oh, try to. So it vortices. And so where the high energy it attracts high levels of minerals, and then that attracts high levels of plankton. So then the plankton,
and then it's like in this vortex dance.
Yes.
Guys, what's plankton?
Oh God, don't ask that. Plankton is like sea creatures.
Yeah, tiny little sea creatures.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, actually, if you go on our website, I've found a picture of plankton and put it on just to show you what plankton looks like.
But what the hell is plankton? Okay, plankton is a little.
It's what feeds other fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my head,
yeah,
it's I think well, no, I'm not going to say that because it might be wrong. Anyway, it's plankton. Have a Google plankton.
Okay, I will. No, I definitely will.
So plankton arrives in these wonderful areas,
and there's a vortex going on.
And so the plankton digests the minerals, and then so a deeper level underneath the plankton is where you would collect.
That's where you would harvest.
Yeah, I think it's called deep sea water or marine plasma. I think
Right.
the famous one out there is Quinton.
But it's not just, okay, this happens all the time in these spots. David has to go out, find out. There's a lot involved. You know, there'll be a lot of times we'll go out to harvest and come back with nothing. It's not just something that's always there. You have to find it. It's a very unique experience when it happens, you know.
Wow.
He is such a spiritual man, because he also said about, like, sometimes he'll go out and if the dolphins are there, he knows that he's going to find it. He's almost his
Really
whole
connected to
life.
water.
Yeah.
A bit like how Vader is,
Yeah.
the way that she works with water. There's almost this real, that's all they do, both of them, isn't it? This real deep bond with water. They can almost, it feels like they can communicate with it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
That's blown my mind. Right, I need to try that. That is next on the list. The flask, the minerals, that's definitely next on the list.
Yeah, so the minerals, it's literally, you know, people sort of talk, I always think it's a bit like water. It's almost been like dumbed down a little bit, because it's like, well, you drink 2 liters of water, you take your vitamins and minerals, but minerals are the building blocks of us. Like, you know, the next thing after water, you have your minerals, and your minerals build every part of us, like all of our enzymes, you know, our bacteria in our bodies, you know, they will also feed and be built from the minerals that we drink. So you know, it's its own ecosystem. We are our own earth.
And we, you know, we go, the water naturally will go through that process, like we said at the beginning, the way it will go up to the clouds, come back down, go through the soil, get the minerals as it's being cleaned. But we are depleted from some of that because the soil's a bit depleted. So even though we do get it naturally from spring water, and as you said, if you've got an RO system or you've got a cleaning house system for your water, it is going to replenish those minerals. But this, something like the sea plasma, is just going to up it a little bit more.
Well, yeah, and I think it's making you're getting it in the perfect balance, because you could take loads of calcium, but that will knock other minerals. They all work in synergy, like we said.
Together.
So if you're taking one mineral, you don't know what the impact of that is on all the others. So if you take them as a whole and how they're meant to be, then it's almost taking the worry out of
all of it.
All of that. It makes it very simple.
So is that like, when you're saying that, is that like you don't kind of have to worry then about topping yourself up with different things? Like,
I think unless you know and you've been tested.
That's very different to someone that might be depleted specifically in something.
Yeah.
But yes, it would definitely be, you're giving it as a whole.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And if someone's depleted in a mineral, I'd also be sort of trying to figure out why. Because, you know, yes, it might be devoid in our soil, but there might be another reason. So like stress, all these other things.
And then it goes on to, like we've said so many times in other people that we've chatted to. So for example, magnesium will always be one that people seem to be quite low in.
Yeah.
But then so people go out and buy the magnesium, but then what magnesium are you buying? It's like there's loads of different types of magnesium on the market.
Blows my head.
There's a lot more, there's a lot more involved than just topping up with just a couple of minerals or a couple of vitamins.
Absolutely. No, agreed. Guys, it's just amazing. And I think as well, a lot of people sort of do the bottled water thing. Can we just like go into telling people like how dangerous the plastic is, like the bioplastics that are being found in the bottles and stuff? Because it's like you think you're doing the best because you're not drinking the tap water, but it's like at the same time all the microplastics and the fact they've just been sitting stagnant in these bottles, like it's no good either, is it?
It's quite sad, really. I think we had a chat, I can't remember who it was too, and they were explaining, you know, not only is these plastics sitting on, because light's another one that we've gone into with Atta, and light hugely impacts the water and our microbiomes and everything in between. So these plastic bottles are sat on supermarket shelves, stagnant, sleepy, stagnant, still not moving, they're sleepy. You know, sat on shelves
with full-blown LED lights banged on them.
Yeah, and it's you know, even that in itself is a bit sort of,
and all the, you know, the energy within them types of environment as well, you know, isn't always the best, is it?
No. And it's also debatable about, you know, where these waters come from, which is why we've tried to make a sort of bit of a sideline in visiting
And fun
Yeah.
visiting, haven't we? A few springs along the way
Yeah.
over the last Atta journey.
To try and sort of find
Real
trusted springs
real
in the
springs.
UK.
Yeah,
I was
we
gonna
found a
ask you about that as
couple.
well.
Yeah, we found especially the one recently we visited in Cheddar Gorge, Cheddar Water, which is on organic soil. It's been in their family for years. There's another beautiful one called McCare up in Scotland from the Isle of Lewis. Obviously, you've got the White Spring at Glastonbury. Regardless of what we know, the iconic White Spring, there is actually a spring where you can get spring water from Glastonbury, the White Spring water.
Wow.
There's so many different waters out there, and it's really picking and choosing wisely,
Yes.
They have to be tested, right, to make sure that it's
they
okay
have,
to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's also the process as well of filtration, because I think a lot of them use some really delicate filtration because you don't want to disturb the structure and the mineral content of the water just by putting it, when it's out of the ground, you could then filter it like to crazy levels and then it just disturbs it anyway. So the good ones have these delicate processes in place to
Like a fine
protect
wine.
the water. Like a fine wine.
Yeah, not that thing. Like a fine wine. Like a fine wine.
Wine.
It's almost having there's almost like a love and a respect for what they're doing,
Yeah.
Like we say with the Cheddar one, you've got the Tabitha who does it, and you've got her brother that's involved, and they're pulling the water and they're bottling it together and they're shipping it off, and there's a love for what they're doing. It isn't like a big money making industry thing going on. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. What about the well? Do you remember you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's that?
So Pear Tree is such a lovely story, isn't it?
Oh, I forgot about Pear Tree,
Yeah.
but we also go to Pear Tree a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So Pear Tree, so there's different types of water. Well water is slightly different to spring water, but it's a family run by the son now, but the dad who found the well, I don't think it is. I feel like
No, it's an aquifer.
it's an aquifer.
They just
Yeah,
call it
they
Pear Tree Well,
yeah.
don't they?
And the
Really
dad had a
lovely story.
very lucid dream about treasure in his back garden underneath a pear tree, and he
was
went
told to wake up in the morning and dig.
So he dug.
Are you joking?
Yeah, so then he dug under the tree, but he just found a puddle, and he was like, well, there's no treasuries. So then he had another lucid dream, and they were like, well, the water is the treasure. So he then went on this huge mission, because obviously it's not a simple thing to dig down.
Stop digging.
But as he bored down, he found an underwater river,
Which is an aquifer.
which is an aquifer, yes. And he and it's then the process of trying to deliver it to his community and make sure
he did it.
And he did it. So now the son has taken over.
Yeah.
So I'd highly recommend you go and visit and say hello, because they are a wonderful little team.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah.
They're in Kent.
Yes. So Google Pear Tree. They're on our website as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely story, isn't it? I love that. But we've got another contact in New Zealand who are doing a similar thing, but they bought land. They are now the protectors and guardians of this thing called NZ source water.
That's what they've named it, yeah.
And it is insanely healing. It's a medicinal water, although they drink it through their
bath. Yeah, and it's like their everyday running water, isn't it?
But it's the water that Vader Austin drinks. That's been our next thing, trying to get that over to the UK, but it's taking a little bit longer because the infrastructure to bring water over from New Zealand
isn't not friendly.
No,
We're just asking the water if she wants to come, then we'll help bring her over.
Yeah.
But it's the most alkaline water at the moment that's ever been found in the world, and the healing qualities of it.
The structure, it comes out bright, like illuminating blue.
Wow.
It's got a luminescence, hasn't it? It's absolutely magical. And the two guys couple that live on the house, Shona and Ross, are absolutely amazing. I think they've had a really big.
Oh, it's been such a journey for them, haven't they? With water.
Yeah. So go and have a look at them. They've put lots of posts out, but they're very down to earth. We love them to pieces. They make us laugh on quite a regular basis.
And it's lovely just to connect with people all over the world that we all seem to be asking these questions and wanting to find out knowledge and share about something, going back to the beginning, something so fundamental that we see our whole world through, which is water. You know, we breathe in water, we breathe out water. It all goes back to that again. It's everything around us is water, you know.
Ladies, thank you so much for the absolute wealth of knowledge. It's been amazing to chat with you, and so interesting. And there's so many products that, you know, are so interesting, people should go check out. So I'll put all of your details down below, all of your links for everything. You guys also have a podcast where you talk to people as well, so guys, go and check that out. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there, but thank you so much for your time and
pleasure.
we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's nice to be on this side
For
for
the
a
other
change.
side, yeah. Instead of sitting around
Honestly.
asking little questions to ask everybody else.
Thank you so much. That was such a great like overview of it, because I know it's so hard because you could go into so much detail about so many of the different aspects, but I think like as a whole that was like such a great chat, and for people that really don't know much about it, it's going to be really valuable. So thank you guys so much.
Ever interested in anything in more depth, we can always come in and talk about something that's more specific
if you want.
But yeah, it's an overview. It goes deep.
Yeah. And wherever you start on that journey, just pick that one point. Don't get overwhelmed, because it can be quite an overwhelming subject when it comes to what is the right water. Start with what's best for you. Do you want to clean it? Do you want to structure it? Do you want to connect with it? What do you want to do with it? Do you want to go and sit and look at it? It doesn't matter. Whatever your first port of call is to start to work with the water, just start there and just see where it goes.
Yeah.
See where it flows.
Oh, I like it.
See where it flows. That's a good one. See where it flows.
End it there. End it there. That was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Right, darling. Lovely to
Thank
chat.
you.
Lots of love. Take care.
We
darling.
did it. Woo!